Taxing our way to prosperity. Let's have a look at the fantastic new bedroom tax. Good evening, everyone. Florian here, and welcome to another episode of Heiser Says. Grab your hashtag recession-proof instant coffee in a cheap mug, and we're going to talk about a fantastic suggestion. Because, you know, the solution for the housing shortage and the rental crisis, it's, wait for it, another tax. That's right. That's the solution to all the problems in our country. More bloody taxes. You want to take money out of people's hands. You know, hardworking Aussie people who work for their money, most of them, hopefully. You want to take it out of their hands because what would they do with it? Probably just spend it on food or housing, things like that. No. You take it off them and you give it to the government, and the government holds on to it because that solves all of our problems. Well, a generation is going to learn about Labor. It seems every day there's another bloody article where it's another tax. And okay, the coalition isn't much better. Just chipping away at you because we've got these experts, our political experts, economic advisors, that they can steer the economy. They need to centrally plan it and guide it. We can't have a free market at all. No. So now they want a bedroom tax, a bloody bedroom tax. I'd be screwed if we had this. Within a number of bedrooms I'm building here, I've got so many kids. Maybe do I get a deduction for all the children I have? Maybe that's it. Let's look at this article, guys, and then at some other examples where this stupidity has been implemented, because, of course, we're just following along with the rest of the world, aren't we? So this is from news.com.au, written by David Wu. Calls for households with spare bedrooms to be taxed to free up the market amid homes shortage. Now, I am certain most of the viewers of this channel, you know, we've got a lot of people who are hard workers, a lot of people in the construction game, a lot of professionals, would realize this is a stupid, bloody idea, particularly all the landlords. But I'm worried. I'm not worried about you guys. I'm worried about the younger generation, the up-and-comers, guys, that are getting a real urge for this socialism and government intervention, that they'll be voting for stupid shit like this. We need to talk and raise awareness at how stupid these ideas are. We don't want to... Maybe we need to do tours of communist housing. Actually, some of them might get jealous, but they're pretty bloody small. So calls for households with spare bedrooms to be taxed to free up the market amid a home shortage. Because that's right, whenever you have a problem in the market, a tax will solve it. A bold plan to tax spare bedrooms has been floated to help fix the housing crisis and affordability crisis crippling Australia. New research from Cotality, I don't know who they are, has shown there is a mismatch when it comes to the number of residents living in a property versus the amount of bedrooms. Now, this is an interesting thing to consider because we are having a shift. Our population and family sizes are shifting. People are not having kids. People are not having families, or they're having it much later, or they're wussing out and only having a couple. They need to keep going. Actually, I spoke to a friend of mine recently, and he's just said that they're going to go again for another one, a third kid, which is very encouraging. It's good to, you know, it's nice when you hear from your friends when their life's coming together, they're doing well, they're raising a family. It really is satisfying, happy news stories like that, or not even news stories, just personal stories. That's why I can't really do the doom and gloom too much with the YouTube. But there you go. I mean, glad he's doing that, but how many people do I know that aren't even having families at all? You've got to do it. And so we're building all these houses for families, and they're not being used by families, they're all being rented out by investors because no one's having families. So you need more smaller houses, but investors don't want to build those because their return isn't the same. A new study shows just over 60% of houses are lived in by one or two people. How many of those are downsizing or retired baby boomers or above who don't want to leave their home, who want to stay in their home? And they should have every right to do that. Could you imagine pensioners being taxed? My mother, she's got a spare room. She's not renting it out. It's there for when we visit. What if she was taxed by that? Can you see that happening? However, the most common size of a dwelling for more than 3/4 of properties are have 3 bedrooms or more. Collaterally, head of Australian research, Liza Owen, said questions are being raised about how well the housing market is serving real demand. So if the market isn't serving demand, so here we are going to artificially intervene in a market, which we've already exacerbated all the problems by artificially intervening in the market, by having huge amount of taxes on the construction in the market, by increasing the legislation every year upon year. So we're going to intervene in it again. I feel like we've heard this story before, and I'm worried that there's a generation that aren't going to learn the right lessons. While there's nothing wrong with more bedrooms than people in a dwelling, there could be some inefficiencies in the way housing is being allocated. She said, inefficiencies. We mustn't, einer Zimmer für Leute. It must be efficient. A tax would help people move into housing that fits their size, but understood it would not be favorable for anyone. Yeah, no, this is a terrible idea. I suspect she's doing it just to get attention to her research company or whatever this is. That would have to be the only reason. Governments could make it more expensive to have more housing than you need and cheaper to live in smaller housing, she said. It already is. It costs more to maintain a bigger house than a smaller house. We don't need the government to do that. This is no different than the bloody taxes they put on cigarettes and smokes and all this other shit because they think they know how we should live our lives better than we should. This is Australia. We're the biggest bloody nanny state in the entire bloody world. It's bullshit, okay? Everyone thinks we're all laissez-faire and relaxed. It's complete bullshit. We're a big damn nanny state. Now they're going to tell you how to live in your own bloody house. Soon it'll be, oh, you don't have enough, you've got empty bunk beds. Too much. It seems unfair to ask younger households to pay higher prices for stock that is being utilised by older households. Yeah, okay. Let's have a look. Make-up changing of Australian households. I'll give a link to the article if you want to go through the whole thing. It's gotten me angry. But let's have a look where these terrible ideas have been implemented before. I'm hoping this is only a suggestion to draw attention to the issue, but I'm kind of worried it's not. So here we go. I asked Copilot, where are there other bedroom taxes? And it gave me a little summary here. So several countries and cities around the world have implemented vacancy taxes or under-occupancy penalties through a specific bedroom vacancy tax is rare. Under-occupancy penalties. This feels very much central planning, very fascistic, very communist here, where the government is really getting into your bedroom. Wasn't that the whole thing about keeping the government out of your bedroom? What happened to that? That's disappeared now. There's more calls for it. The UK, under the Conservative Liberal Democrat coalition, okay, Conservative, the bedroom tax reduces housing benefits for social housing tenants deemed to have more bedrooms than needed. 14% reduction for one spare bedroom, 25% reduction for two or more. You know what they need to do? They need to become to get on there's this YouTuber that does these little shorts where he's describing the political issues in the UK from the perspective of online gaming. So he's calling on the local players as server occupants, and then VPN players and the migrants coming over there. To get around this reduction in the benefits, they should be staying at one of those hotels where they get what is it, all accommodation, food for free, and everything. Yeah, oh boy. So well, there you go. But don't worry, guys. It's just for the dull bludgers. No one gives a shit, eh? Canada. 1% of the assessed or market value, non-residents, non-Canadian owners of vacant or underused homes. So Vancouver, an empty homes tax, 3% of asset value. Toronto, a vacant home tax, 1%, raised to 3% in 2023. So I don't think that's making any difference on the struggles of housing in Canada. It's just as bad as Australia. What do we have? We've got the annual vacancy fee for foreign owners. Applies if property is unoccupied or not rented for 183 days per year. Fee equals the foreign investment application fee of $5,500. I mean, these are kind of like bullshit amounts. They're not going to force you to have someone in your property if you don't want to. You just consider the $5,500 as holding cost of getting your capital out of dodgy countries, where you don't want it to be, into good, safe countries. US, San Francisco. Isn't that where they're shitting in the streets? Empty homes tax and a commercial vacancy tax. Oakland and Berkeley. Annual taxes on properties for less than 183 days. Washington, a 5 to 10% tax on vacant, blighted properties. There you go. France, the Frenchies. Unfurnished residence units vacant for 1 year. Okay. Ireland, vacant home tax. Rent rates 3 times the annual property tax. Homes occupied for fewer than 30 days per year. So your holiday home. So you can see there are countries around here. Now, none of these have solved their housing problems. Ireland is in a mess. US and France, well, I can't imagine housing's much cheaper there. I know Canada and Australia is bad. I know the US has a lot of cheap housing, but it's in the parts of the country where you don't want to live. And the UK, the bedroom tax. Well, the UK is just as bad as Australia with their housing policy. So let's have a bit of a chat about this one, eh? So, once again, a crazy policy I'm hoping is just being put out there in the media for attention, for views, for discussion. But we need to raise awareness and criticism of this type of stuff because it's being put forward more and more often. And you have young people, they're very impressionable. They're getting desperate. It's so hard to get in the housing market. And I'll do another video updating all the different pillars there in the house of supporting the house prices. It's not going to come crashing down as much as people hope that it will. There are some good signs. There are some sensible signs. I'll do a video about, in greater detail, about calls to restrict or freeze the building code, which would be fantastic because every year, or building codes every few years, but almost every year you've got new legislation coming in that's impacting housing construction. You've got Energy Star rating increases. You've got accessibility requirements. These things sound good. People see them on the news and think, oh, this sounds good. I'm a nice person. I'll vote for that. I'll do that. Not realizing it's increasing the costs. It'd be smarter to lend money to people who need to have a house adapted to their special needs than to make it a blanket bloody rule. Even give it 0 interest. Or even a grant. It would be cheaper to grant people money so they could retrofit houses for disability access than making every single house universally accessible. Anyway, I'm going off topic here. We need to talk about these issues. A bedroom tax is a stupid, bloody idea, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.